Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of our TekNexus Africa Summit. We're glad to have you all join us. We're happy to have you here. Yesterday was awesome, super awesome. And I'm sure you agree with me that it was indeed awesome. So today we are ready for day 2. If you're excited, you could just make some noise, show your excitement in the comment section. We'd love to see your comments. We'd love to see your excitement in the comment section. So you're welcome. Welcome everyone in the comment section to make some friends, make some connections. We're about to get started right now. And yes, if you thought we had lots of value yesterday, trust me, today we have more values to unpack on the call today. And of course, you know who our lineup of guests is. We have Eyitayo of Utiva. We have Emmanuel Yirenkyi of a senior product manager at Microsoft. We have Iyanu Durotola, a senior product designer at Verizon. And of course, we have Beersheba Alogbo of EY. So you know that we're not joking here, and it's not just about the big name, but more about the value everyone is going to get today, everyone is going to go home with. So if you have not told your friends that he's a techie, you've not told your sister, your younger siblings, your elder siblings, it is time to do so now. So just click on the share button and share the link with them. Share the link with them, share on your status, share with everyone, share in all the groups that you belong to, all the communities, all the tech communities that you belong to. Tell them yesterday was awesome, and today there is going to be lots more connections, lots more value, lots more insights that we're going to glean from today's session. So do not change the dial, do not just still put where you are, like the radio people will say. They will say, don't change the dial. You do not want to change the dial today. So please on the stay on the call, stay on the call, stay on the call. So right about now, I would like us to do something real quick. If anyone can kind of type in this comment section some of the things that they got from the session yesterday, it would be nice. You know, there are lots of things that all our speakers spoke about. We have Bisola, Alabi, the CEO of Eels and Tech yesterday, talking about a lot of things. And I remember she mentioned something very key in today's you know, market, so to say. She mentioned storytelling. Trust me, whatever you're doing, you have to be able to coin a story around it. That is when people are able to relate so well to it. It makes it more relatable if you're able to talk about your journey using storytelling skills. And she gave lots of insights. She gave like a couple of resources. I hope you all do not forget. So today we're going to start pretty soon. I would be reading the the profile of our first speaker, our keynote speaker, actually. That is a person of Eyitayo Ogunmola, the CEO of um, Utiva. And yes, he is right here with us in the building. I would expect that you make some noise right about now because you know what it means to have the old Eyitayo himself live and direct here on the call. So without wasting much of our time now, I'm just gonna go right into reading his profile so we can start the session immediately. Thank you, everyone. So who is Eyitayo, you might want to ask. Eyitayo is a technology entrepreneur, the founder and CEO of Utiva, the managing partner of Fleet, and the managing director of Entrova. Eyitayo successfully built the largest technology talent company, Utiva, with over 110,000 tech talents trained, with some of them working in companies like Slack, MasterCard, Google, Amazon, TikTok, Shopify, Uber, and Paystack. As a techpreneur, he is popularly celebrated as the tech and Web3 evangelist. Eyitayo worked as a product manager with Creative DC in the United States and joined Afisans as the vice president of partnerships and business development. Eyitayo is a 2020 Facebook leader, an Antler entrepreneur, a 2020 Alician Incubator Fellow in the US, a 2019 Global Goods Funds Fellow, United States, a 2018 Chevening Scholar funded by the UK, a 2016 Atlas Call member, United States, 2019 Unleashed Talent, Shenzhen, China, 2015 NLI Associate Fellow, and 2014 Carrington Youth Fellow. He studied business strategy and change at Edinburgh Business School and consult as an AI product manager. We are super excited this evening to welcome him to speak on the topic, building a global business as an African. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise as I invite or pass the mic to Eyitayo Ogunmola. It's so good to have you here this evening, sir. You're welcome to our TekNexus Africa Summit. Thank you, sir. You have the floor now.
Hey, okay. Interestingly, I see that a lot of people are viewing on YouTube. Thank you so much, Bukola, for that introduction. I don't know if I should call you Bukola. Mercy.
Yes, Bukola is fine. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I prefer Bukola than I prefer Yoruba name than any English name.
Right, sir.
Okay, I'm so sorry that my background is very dark. I'm actually traveling. Um, so I'm in my lodge, moving to another city. Um, yeah. So guys, I'm very excited to be here. Really love it here. I'm happy that we're able to do the session. Interestingly, I don't have any. Sorry guys, I don't have any presentation slides. For my session today. You know, I just want to have a chit chat, a conversation. So my approach today is going to be more of a conversation than a presentation. But unfortunately, I see that we have a lot of people viewing than a lot of people on the session right now. Bukola, if you can also do me a favor. Okay, I got it. I got it already. I wanted to just give me a second. I wanted to also stream this live on my Instagram and on my other social media. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so sorry about that. So I wanted to, you know, talk about something that is very, very important, and that is the talent and the skill ecosystem. you know, because when you think about the African markets today, there is an opportunity. And the opportunity is the fact that, this is a continent of 1.2 billion people, 65% of us. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you. Sorry, thank you, Glory, for that. I wanted to post it on my platforms so that people that are interested in also listening can also listen in. So when you think about the ecosystem today and you think about the industry, one of the things that you will realize is, say, this is a great time to be in the tech industry. And I personally don't agree that the tech industry is the only industry that has got the potential for success or the potential for greatness. I don't agree. I think there are other great industries, FMCG, manufacturing, import and export, oil and gas, traditional education that are also great industries, right? But there is a peculiar value in the tech industry, a peculiar value in the tech industry. And one of the values that really excites me is the opportunity that you can invest a little into the industry, build a technology software that the market really, really wants, and then go do amazing and big stuffs, in the market, in the industry. So the potential to scale and reach millions of people, do really good work, impactful work, and make a lot of money, because money is important, right? Is something I don't want to discount in the industry. But today, I just want to focus majorly on the, let me look for the right word, the skill markets. The skill market. So if you're on this call and then you're asking, what tech skill will be relevant in the future, that's one thing that I really want to touch on, the tech skill. But again, I want to not connect it to now building a global business as an African. So I'm going to be connecting skill with building a global business as an African. So without wasting your time, I'm going to share with you 5 major things I personally have learned when it comes to building a global business. Or let me say the word, building a global brand. What are the 5 major things that I have particularly learned as an entrepreneur that I've been lucky in the space, and I use the word lucky carefully, in the space, what do you do if you really want to build a global brand, a global business? Number 1 is this: the industry matters. The industry that you get into matters, or the problem that you're trying to solve matters. So one of the things I have learned this the hard way, that if you're coming to build in this space and you want to build a global business, right? You need to be careful to make sure that you're solving a problem that is worthwhile. And coming into a market, I don't think the market is really important, right? I think the industry, the niche, the space is fundamentally important, right? Fundamentally important. The size of the market, the size of the problem will determine the size of the opportunity. If the problem is very little, very small, the opportunity in the market is very small. And if you're solving a problem that has got a very small problem, a small opportunity, it potentially means that you cannot grow to become a global brand or a global business. So if you really want to grow to become a global business, a global brand, you have to really be solving a problem that is worth solving, or that is large and big enough. So let's think about it. For example, primary education vis-a-vis you know, uh, local transportation. Primary education is a crisis that is big. Everywhere you go to, every market you talk to, there are children in primary school. So if you can solve the problem in that market, you have the potential to capture a much more bigger, opportunity. But if you're solving the problem of a local transportation in Lagos State, it might become a big company, but that's not a global problem. It's not a global problem. So you need to think about this from the perspective of how many people globally are experiencing this problem. The second thing I want to touch on is then the entrepreneur. You cannot go farther, or your business cannot go farther than the capacity of the entrepreneur. And I'm going to say this again. You know, no matter no matter how much you try, no matter how much you try, honestly, no matter how much people invest in you and support you, your business cannot go faster or grow faster than you. In other words, the capacity that you build as an entrepreneur determines the capacity that your business reflects. If you want to become, if you want to build a global business, you want to build a global enterprise, you yourself need to become a global entrepreneur in your perspective, in your relationship, in your travel, in your exposure, in your learning, right? In your network, in your relationship. You need to become a global entrepreneur to build a global business. And I've seen this happen several times. The best time that my business is experiencing and reflecting the global opportunity is when I myself as a person reflect that global, entrepreneurship. So the biggest question is, who are your friends? Who do you have within your network? Who are you connecting with? What are you learning? Who are you listening to? You know, because that determines the capacity of your business or the capacity of your enterprise. Now, the third thing, which I think is also very important, right, is the people that you surround yourself with. It's fundamentally important that if you're going to build a successful business that is global, then you need to begin to ask people who have got global mindsets, global network to join you. There is no joke with this. None. None. If you want to access global opportunities, then you need to begin to attract people who are international to be a part of the journey of building that business. You see, there's something I learned from my mother, and I'm going to tell you this, right? And I hope the people are actually following me, because I've got a lot of viewers on YouTube that are following, but I'm not exactly sure, if I've got people on the call here that are following me. But I'm just going to continue from that, right? One of the things I learned from my mother is this: it takes a village to raise a child. But listen, the quality of the village reflects on the output of the child. So if you're building a global brand, one of the things you need to begin to do is to attract people who are global in their mindset, global in their relationship, global in their network, and global in the type of problem they want to solve, to be a part of the journey. And that automatically changes the game for you. See, if you attract people who have got very local mindsets, you will get a local output. If you attract people who have got global mindsets, you'll get a global output. So one of the things I do always, right, is to always connect with people and get people who have got global mindset, global relationship to build with me. And that's how we became a company that got into the Alcyon Incubator Program, Global Good Fund Program, got into the Facebook Accelerator Program, got into several international programs because I was very, very conscious of engaging and bringing people who have got global mind. And that could start with your leadership team, your board of advisors, your friends, just connecting more with people that have got global mindsets to build with you. Because that's one of the things you need to do if you want to build a global business. Now, let's talk about the two more important things that I want to drop with you, and then I'll hand over the mic because I know that we've got a lot of questions. Now, funding. Funding is one thing that you must always have at the back of your mind. Uh, you can't build a global business without other people coming, to some sort of invest, support, because you don't have all the resources. Remember, basic economics. Resources are limited. Resources are limited. So sorry, I had to switch off my video for just a few seconds. Resources are limited, so you have to continuously get people to be a part of the journey, to support you, to invest in you. Resources are limited. So constantly getting people to be a part of your journey and invest in what you're doing is important. So if you're building a startup, right, from day one, you need to be asking for investment because money is never enough. Money will never be enough. Constantly, continuously looking for funding, looking for investment, looking for cash inflow into your business, external funding support is one of the things I learned extremely very late. If I were to do a startup again, I would literally spend 70% of my time looking for more money. Why? And I'm not talking about revenue, I'm talking about external funding. Why? Because the more funding you get, the more you're able to experiment with every God given idea, God given initiative that you get. If you don't have funding, all your initiatives are some sort of like dead from arrival. So, looking for funding, getting funding is very important. And then one of the best ways to do that is to be a natural marketer, is to become a natural marketer. See, you cannot build of value something of value, something of substance without mastering the art of storytelling. Get out again. Guys, this is important. You cannot build something of value, something of substance without mastering the art of storytelling. Because the better story you tell, the more charismatic, engaging, the more attractive, engaging your story is, the better you're able to bring in people to join you as investors, to join you as supporters, as cheerleaders, but most importantly, to join you as advisors. So you have to continuously communicate. You have to continuously communicate what you're building. In fact, the model that I've built for my mentees is that every day you must be churning out content about what you're building every day, and on an average, 30% per day. You must be speaking with them about what you're building because you have to become the evangelist of your business, the evangelist of your product. So, what I find interesting today is that I see some of my mentees, some of my friends building startup, and they don't even talk about what you're building. Listen, let me tell you this. You cannot light a candle and put it under a bushel. You have to put it on the lampstand so that it gives light to the world. You have to continuously, constantly tell the story of what you're building. On local platforms, on international platforms, you have to continuously tell the story of what you're building. Right. And I think that is fundamentally important. Finally, before I hand over the microphone and I take some questions because I think the questions might be a lot more than the session itself. Is leveraging technology. You have to leverage technology, right? I mean, you can bootstrap, you can play the traditional approach, but to scale and become a global business, every element of the work that you do in the business has to be technology driven. Every little thing. Otherwise, it cannot reach the high volume markets. Every little thing. You have to be leveraging technology. If there's something you're doing traditionally or manually, you have to begin to think. In fact, at the core, at the center of the product you are building, there must be technology in it. I mean, we're talking about building a global business, right? We're not talking about building one local business in K2 or Alagbo, or one local business in Lagos, or one business that you just have it. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about building a global business. If you're going to build a global business, at the back of your mind, you have to continuously think about, how am I leveraging technology? How am I getting more tech product? To constantly. You have to always think about it, guy. What must be, at the back of your mind is, how do I leverage technology to scale? And when you think about it, as an entrepreneur, it means that you yourself, you have to constantly immerse yourself in the entire concept of technology. You see, let's think about it this way. Let me just tell you the truth. On an average per day, and quote me anywhere, on an average per day as an entrepreneur, and you see the way I'm emphasizing this, on an average per day, this is what you must do. Number one, at least one article on tech, you must complete it. At least one podcast, 20-minute podcast on tech, you must complete it. You must have conversations with at least 5 friends in the tech space per day. You must be talking to 30 customers on your product per day. You must be churning out a video to market and evangelize your product per day. Email broadcast per day. But listen, the most important of the work that you do is in the capacity development, because you can't allow the market to go faster than you in terms of knowledge. You can't allow the market to go faster. You can't allow the industry to go faster than you in terms of knowledge. Now, everyone can have everything than you, but 2 things they must never have than you is, number one, ability to execute like a mad dog. And number 2 is ability to learn like an hungry dog. Those 2 things, nobody must win and dominate you in that space. Ability to execute like a mad dog. It means if you tell yourself that you are going to do something, whatever happens, you must do it. If you are not doing what you promise yourself to do, how will your staff do what they promise you they will do? You're building a wrong and terrible culture. And I hold myself accountable to that. If I tell myself I'm going to do something, no matter what happens, if I tell myself that I'm going to do something in my business, no matter what happens, I must make sure that thing is executed. But the most important is not even in the execution, it's in the knowledge. Because where I come from, the farther you go depends on your content. So content is important, and content means watching podcasts, learning, enrolling in a course, and ensuring that every time you are engulfing and learning faster than the industry. Nobody in your industry must know more than you. Nobody. If you watch the podcast of your competitor and you realize that your competitor has a knowledge that you don't have, that is a reflection of your weakness. You have to continue to learn to catch up, because people can beat you in other areas. People must never beat you on execution and in knowledge. And that's one of the things I tell, my mentees that are entrepreneurs today. And I tell them, guys, you must every day read an article, every day watch a podcast, every day learn. right? In fact, learning has to be projected into the future. You have to be learning from entrepreneurs that has gone farther than you. That's how you build a global brand. That's how you build a global brand. It's at this point I'm going to stop because I know that there's a lot to talk about, but I want to take a few questions and take some questions. So, guys, if you've got questions, please, throw them open and then we'll address them one after the other. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Like, oh, that was packed. Like, really, really packed. Thank you so much, Mr. Eyitayo. Like, I don't know how to start describing it, but then there were lots of light bulbs moments for me personally, and I'm sure everyone on the call too, as one or two things that has really triggered them, that has opened their minds to more for what they are building, what they are working on at this time. So very quickly, I'm going to take a question that I have here from someone on YouTube. He said, I've got ideas of problems that will provide good value solving. What would be your mental advice on how to go from idea to getting investors and building? What would be your advice on getting investors and building? I think we're going to start with that, then we'll do the follow-up questions. Thank you.
So sorry, Bukola, I lost you on the last sentence. I hope was that a question, right?
Yes, it was a question, but let me take it again.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so he said that what would be your mental advice on how to go from idea to getting investors and idea and building? So what would be your advice to him? He's got ideas of problems that will provide good value solving, but he needs your advice on how he's going to get investors and how he's going to build.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is interesting, and I'm saying this out of every respect to investors out there. You know, yeah, and I'm being very careful with what I say. You see, investors are the least important, people in building a business, right? They are not your customers. I mean, I I say this with all respect because I've got a lot of investors that are my friends. I had friends who are investors who told me that, Utiva would never reach 5 billion naira in revenue. you know, I remember that conversation with one of the investors said, you're helping people to learn tech skills. How many Nigerians actually want to learn tech skills? The tech skill market is see, investors are great people, but they are the least on your list of people that you should really worry about. You should worry about your customers, number one. If your customers love what you're doing and what you're creating and the value you're creating, investors, don't worry about them. You can solve that later. Number two is for investors, it's always about what is shining. So, what you need to master is the ability to create value for your customers and sell it and become very marketable. In other words, what I mean is make a lot of noise about the potential of what your business can become and then focus on your customers. So I'll give you three things that you should focus on right now. Number one is this: you need to reach out to tons and tons of people in the industry about what you're building and how big it can become. But then at the center of it has to be technology. Number two is that you then need to ask them and say, hey, we are raising money because right now we are doing XYZ. We've got the potential to do ABC, connect us to investors. Number three is that when it comes to raising money, you need to be ready to talk to thousands of investors to get a few of them to invest in you, right? It's hard and it can be very distracting. It's hard and it can be very distracting, especially when you are an operational intensive person like myself. You're someone that loves to focus on your business, but listen, focus on your customers, sell value to your customers, and sell the story of how big it can become to investors. So traditionally, I will tell my investors and say, hey, we started from the training space. And I know a lot of people think that we're a training organization. We're not just a training organization. We want to do hiring. We want to do business process outsourcing. Today, we are doing 5 billion naira in revenue. That 5 billion naira in revenue can go from 5 billion to this billion, if you support us and you're part of our journey. So one of the things you need to master is the heart of storytelling. And I hope that that makes sense, you know. But in priority, because I see that Jemima is asking the question, in terms of priority, number one for me will be execution. Execution. Number two would be learning. Number three will be storytelling. Because don't tell a story if you don't have substance. So continuously depositing yourself to pull out or to push out. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it really does make sense. Don't tell a story if you don't have substance. Guys, I hope you got that. So thank you so much, Mr. Eyitayo. We're not done with the questions. I am only just passing the mic to Glory, who would love to ask some one or two more questions from you this evening. Thank you. It's been an awesome session with you, sir. Glory, you have the mic now.
All right. Thank you, Bukola. Thank you so much, Eyitayo. It's been quite it's been really inspiring. Basically what you shared so far. I wanted to ask a question because this summit has a very quite strong Pan-African context. So looking at persons within the African space, being able to utilize what they have, which could be their tech skills, to build solutions, build that startup, essentially solve problems. Looking at the Nigerian and stretching that into the African context, what really are the odds for the next success story, right? We've had a couple of success stories, Utiva, PhotoWave, Paystack, and a whole lot of other companies, right? What are the odds? One, for someone on this call to build the next success story, something truly global, something truly profitable, something truly impactful. And second question is, how can those odds be improved? Like you've already shared tips, right? So what are the odds? And for every person, how can you improve the probability or the odds that you get to build something that will be truly successful, just like you've done with Utiva?
Glory, I'm going to disappoint you. Nobody knows. No,
All
nobody.
right. Okay. Okay.
Nobody knows. Anything
Okay.
anybody tells you lie right now is a joke, is a lie. Nobody. Nobody knows. I'll give you an interesting example. A year before I started Utiva, all investors were talking about, you know, ride hailing,
Okay.
ride hailing technology because they thought that based on Uber, Bolt, Taxify, you know, trajectory, then the ride hailing market will be a super big market. You know, Go came into the space and a bunch of other people came into the space. And it was really a challenging one. I honestly think that your job as an entrepreneur is not to care about what will be the next big thing, right? Your job as an entrepreneur is to care about three things. Number one, do customers actually have this real problem? Is this problem a real problem to them? I'll give you a very interesting example. I I just got into Nigeria and I'm trying to use the best internet. So MTN is not working in my house because the walls of the house is very thick. So I decided to get Starlink. And I don't think I'm poor. Throughout yesterday, I couldn't get a card to make payment on Starlink. I literally almost ran mad. You know, none of the cards work. Uda, OPay, GT Bank, none of them. You need to build a product around the headache,
Yeah.
the big problem of customers. Don't care about what's going to be the next big thing. No, 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 no. Care about what the customers actually have as pain points. But before you start to build a solution to their pain, make sure the size of the market is big enough. It's not just two, three people, three, four glory that care about the problem. Make sure it's a problem of thousands and millions of people. That's number one. Number two is this: execute well when you're building the problem and when you're building the solution to the problem. How do you know that you are executing well? 5 hours of your day, you need to be working on that problem. 5 hours every day consistently. You need to be working on the problem. 5 hours every day. You need to be, every element, you need to be solving the problem. You need to be thinking, oh, you need to be. Then the last part, which I think is the most important part, is that you then need to get the ecosystem to support you. That means you have to be talking to people, you have to be marketing, you have to be making a lot of noise. You have to be the evangelist, making a whole lot of noise. The noise has to be, I mean, just go on YouTube and search Elon Musk. You would see how many videos, how many conferences, podcast sessions, maybe 10 people. That is why no matter how tough the day is, I don't quit or give up on speaking at an event to talk and share the story of the work I'm doing. Because if Elon Musk is talking in one conference today, right now, who am I? But then I see guys who want to be entrepreneurs. You're not speaking at events, you're not talking at conferences. If they are not inviting you, host your own conference. Be the cheerleader of the work you're doing, or make sure you are making hell noise. I told one of my mentees who runs one of the biggest real estate companies today, one of the biggest. When it came to me in 2019, I said, Edmond, what I said, go and print flyers. Just be throwing it on the street of Lagos. Let them sue you for messing up the Lagos road. You have to be mad to win in this space. But you have to be, there's no magic. There's no, oh, this is the next big industry. This is the next big thing. No, no, no. Follow those three different principles. Number one, customers pain. Number two, big enough. Number three, make noise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's really clear. So, guys, keep dropping your questions. I hope we've been able to get those points very clearly. I wanted to ask also quickly about team building. For the phenomenal work you've done at Utiva, it probably would not be possible without a team, right?
Yeah.
And so there are young talent on the call right now, and those who get listening to this because it's going to be on YouTube, who are wondering, I have this idea. How do I get persons to buy into that vision and to, if where possible, if possible, take it as their own and just drive it, alongside themselves. So, how do you build a team in 2024 that will
Yeah.
drive your vision?
Interested. Number one is that nobody's gonna buy into your vision the way you think. So if you're selling your vision and then people are not buying into it, don't be frustrated. Don't think, they don't like me. This my light is very quaint. Can you help me find a better lightning? I want this place brighter than this. It's quite disappointing. Don't think, oh, it's because the vision is not big enough. Yeah, no, no, no. That's not the reason. the reason people don't buy into your vision is not because they don't love it. Oh yeah, that's why I have an amazing EA. She solves my problem. So don't think, oh, the reason people don't buy into your vision is not it's because your vision is not big enough, because it's not exciting enough. It's because it's a different generation. But one of the things that have worked for me is that the more you evangelize, attend events, speak at those events, talk, you begin to attract people who love your work. So, for example, if I do a, if I say right now on this call, the guys, this is Utiva, we're building it. If you're happy to build with us and join us as a great partnership person, you're very good at partnership. If I give you a target of 30, 40 people per month to partner with, you can meet that target of partnership. Reach out to me. And I drop my email right on the call. Yeah, I'll get lots of people. You understand what I'm saying? So if you want to attract the best, put your brand out there so that the best can see it. And when I say the brand, your company is not your first brand. You are the first brand. So put yourself out there. Make noise about the work you're doing, and then you will attract. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It was awesome. Thank you so much. Buka, let's take some questions from the audience. So go ahead.
All right, Glory. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Eyitayo. So we have a couple more questions here. And the first one I'm going to ask is, how can young African believe it can build something that is truly global and successful? I know you've touched upon, a whole lot of things that we need to do as young Africans, the fact that we have to like keep pumping knowledge into ourselves and hope. But then looking at all the odds that we have to face as an African, especially that is now residing in African, what are how do we like what are those things that we can do to know that indeed this thing is worth pursuing? And what are those mindsets that a young African needs to adopt, that it's either I win or I win, and there is not going to be any sort of giving up. So, can you please speak to that while we'll take more questions from the audience? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that makes great sense. Number one is build something that is a global problem or that solves a global problem, not just your own problem. So if you're trying to solve a problem that is very focused on the Kenyan markets or one village in Kenya, ask yourself, can this same thing be replicated in Uganda, in Botswana, in Tanzania? Is it a global problem? And we are now in a generation of artificial intelligence. So just type it on ChatGPT and say, there's a problem in Kenya. I'm trying to solve this problem. Does this problem also apply to other countries around the world? Give me in form of figures and statistics how the problem applies to other countries. ChatGPT will give it to you so that you can get a very quick, straightforward, build a solution that solves a global problem. Number two is this: be global yourself. You know, I mean, I give glory to God, but a lot of people talk about, oh, Eyitayo, like you see, I did just build Utiva to be a global company, right? I became a global person myself. Number one, I got into Halcyon Incubator. Number two, I got into Facebook Accelerator Program. Number three, I got into, Global Good Fund. I tried to get into these platforms. Do you understand? I try to get into those platforms. And when I get into them, I take my business along. You get what I'm saying? Number three is, see, I became a UK global talent. And because I became a UK global talent, I dragged my business along. Become global. And what you're building will automatically become global too. There's no magic around it. So the biggest question is this: throughout next week, how many conferences are you going to attend that are international conferences online? And during the conference, are you going to drop it in the chat? Oh, this is who I am. I'm trying to build relationship. Guys, connect with me. Become global. There's no magic in, oh, this is the global. No, become global yourself. Number 3 is that when you now begin to make money, begin to invest in global footprints. Global footprints. Spend your money to get BBC to interview you. Spend your money to get CNN to interview you. When you start making money, and they might not even be big brands. Let me give you a very interesting example.
Okay, it seems Eyitayo might have network issues, so we're just going to wait a bit for him. I'm just going to wait for a bit for him to come back. But guys, you would have to agree with me that it's been a lot of value, right? And the good thing about this is that we're getting to learn firsthand from somebody who has done this. So it's not theoretical; it's practical. So I want us in the comments to start to type some of the key things we have learned. A lot has been said, right? The first conversation or the first point or strategy was, if you want to build a global business, find a global problem, right? Find a problem that it's not just people in your village that have it, or it's not just people in your town, right? It's people in your country and other continents. Find a global problem. Okay, Eyitayo is back. Hi, Eyitayo. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I guess
So
that's
sorry.
network
The network I'm currently using is a little bit, it's lesser in terms of capacity. But the point I'm making is, if you want to build, it doesn't matter where you're from, Africa, non-African, it doesn't matter. Don't limit yourself. But consistently, you have to think about, how am I becoming a global product? Because it is you that run the business. You are the person that runs the business. If you are weak, you run a weak business. If you're a great person, you run a great business. So the core, what you focus on is, I want to be an international entrepreneur. Not, I want to run an international business. No, 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 no. I want to be an international entrepreneur. And automatically your business will become a global business. It's just the way it is. Because you are the one that determines the capacity, of what you are building. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yes, yes, it does make very great sense. So it is about you. It is about you as a person, you as a brand. So the focus should be on what you have in you as the content to what you're giving out. So I think, and that is very key right now, because I mean, we have lots of people out there that, they just have a business, but then when they speak, you ask questions. But I'm going to keep it at that. Thank you so much, Sam. So very quickly, you touched on networking, and you were very more consecrated at some point on the fact that we have to do networking, you have to attend conferences and all. But from experience, and I'm sure a couple other people on the call would also relate, we see that people, when you at a networking event, a conference and all, and you want to connect, especially if you're just like a startup, you're just building, you come up as, people just kind of want to, the attention, the focus is not there. People look down on you. I'm like, so what are those networking tips that you can provide for a young African that is just building? I have this vision, I am pumping knowledge into myself, but I need people to see. Although you already mentioned that people are not going to see it the way I am seeing it, but how can I connect with people that would really up my business or the brand that I'm trying to build, that it will really help it grow. So please, can you just help us with that, share tips? We really need to learn from you. Thank you.
I'll tell you this for a fact, right? These are the issues. These are the things that I also experienced, right? Nobody cares about you. The guy you're trying to network with also has his own struggle. He's also pursuing something. Why should he care about you, that you are just a starter and you don't have any value to offer him? You understand what I'm saying? See, I'll give you a very interesting example. I attend events, right?
Yes.
Leaving my house to attend one event is because I also want to network and
True.
meet people to help my life. And then I get to that event, and one guy is telling me I want one company is building. I have a target. I'm trying to help my own life too.
True.
Everyone needs help. The guy that give you 10 naira is also looking for 1,000 naira.
Mm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? You see,
Yes.
the two ways around this is this. Number one, build your own ecosystem, your own. Don't
Mm.
rely on another person's ecosystem. On that person's ecosystem, other people are taking. Nobody's coming to save you. Build your own ecosystem. Do you understand what I'm saying? Find
Yes.
people, even if they're not great people yet, but find good people that believe in what you're building and
Mm.
get them on your inner circle or in your inner circle,
Mm-hmm.
right? And build with them. But don't just build, market and make noise so that by the time you attend the next event and you meet people, you can then say, oh, my name is Eyitayo. I'm building these. Oh, XYZ is actually on my board. I don't know if you know them. When they hear their name, like, oh, yeah, this person is on your board. Oh, yeah, we actually achieved this milestone and this result last year. Execution, because they've seen your results, and then they can now begin to rally around you. Don't be small and then be going around looking for people to help you. Find a way to be big yourself, and people tilt towards success.
Mm. True.
So if you don't have it yet and then you're asking people to support you and be around you, you will be there for a long time. I've proven this 3 times. And I wish, honestly, I wish I could give you real experiences. 2016, 2017. Oh God. I pursued
Mm.
mentors. I even, if you check my Facebook well, you'll see that I even bought a pumpkin and I put the picture of one of my mentors there. I just wanted to get the guy's attention to mentor me. Glory, if you think I'm joking, I can show you after this call. I'll show you live. I will show you screenshots. I'll show you evidence. Pursue the guy, can mentor me. Nobody will come and save you. They don't
Mm.
care. Nobody cares about you. They also have their own hustle. They also have their as you are the way you are pursuing mentor to support you. The mentor is also pursuing someone else to support him. Don't waste your time.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? I wasted 2016, 2017 pursuing people, sending emails, attending events. Sterling Bank attended sessions or meetings or meetings or meetings or meetings. Nobody will save you because you are small. Go and execute and get results and market yourself, make noise about yourself, and others will come to your light. It's simple. So when I learned that, I went to go and build. I started building, started making noise about myself. You know what I said to myself? I said, hey, Tayo, you will never pursue people. Go and execute. Go and get results. Be deadly, be brutal, be a dog, be a lion about getting results. Others will find you. 2020, the same guy I was pursuing on LinkedIn came to my LinkedIn and said, hey, Tayo, I have an event. I would like you to be a keynote speaker. The world doesn't care about you. Get results for yourself and see how people will rally around you. Be brutal. be crazy, be mad. I literally post 15 messages on my LinkedIn, on my WhatsApp every day, one message on my LinkedIn every day, on my Facebook, on my Instagram. I'm talking, I'm making noise about my work. And because I achieved the result, you yourself, even Bukola, you invited me to be a keynote speaker. If I didn't get result, would you invite me? The world is taken. No one is going to mentor you. All this mentor, you are joking. Nobody's going to mentor you anyway. People will only come to you because you have a potential for greatness. And how do you show potential for greatness? By your execution.
Yeah.
By the work that you've done. Because by the work that they've done, we are then convinced that they have the capacity to become great. Hence, we are now running around them trying to support them. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it
Really.
does. Yeah, it does. Thank you so much, Ita. This has been so. I mean, I probably have to, even though I've been close up here, I need to go back and listen to this and digest over and over again. A lot has been said. It's like all of your experience over the last, couple years just compressed, into a couple minutes. Thank you so much. I think I would ask a final question from the audience, and then we'll just call it the wraps. It's been so brilliant and insightful, and that will be around challenges. You've given tips and strategies to how one can build that global business. You've talked about things. Find a global problem, not a problem just in your village. Execute, be rugged, be dogged about that, right? But then we know that in entrepreneurship, right, challenges come up. So first part of the question will be, if I mean, of course, if you're open to share, what would you say is one of the biggest challenges you experienced in building Utiva? Maybe at whatever stage, maybe at the early stage or middle stage, what would you say is one of the biggest challenges that you experienced? And the other part of the question will be, how can one equip themselves to overcome challenges? The truth is that the entrepreneurs who experienced some challenges and that blew them off, that took the business down,
Yeah.
that took them away. So it means that there's sort of mindsets that one needs to have. There's grit, right? So can you share with us like a practical, very serious challenge that you've experienced in Beauty Utiva or any other business? And how should an entrepreneur deal with challenges in building that business? Thank you.
There are a lot of challenges. Number one, running out of cash. Number two, hiring people. I think the biggest challenge I've ever experienced is always on the people side. You know, bringing people, hiring people to work with you has always been the biggest challenge for me. And speaking with hundreds of my friends that are also entrepreneurs, talent is a big problem. I fundamentally think that if you're going to put 9/10 into the business, then you also need to realize that people will only meet you halfway. Nobody is going to give you, 100%. Nobody, you know, nobody's ever going to give you 100% of what you put into the business. Because they've also got a life. This is not their vision. So I hire people, for example, so I've got an executive assistant, great person, but throughout today, she's only given me one document that I need out of like 30. Because see, it's not our business and it's not our father's business. So why should she die on the business? Why? Tell yourself the truth. Why? No matter how much you say, why would she die on another person's business? Why? I have staff on weekends, they will switch off their phone and say, I can't kill myself. Why would they kill themselves on your own vision? You understand what I'm saying? So that's what you need to figure out as an entrepreneur. I think ultimately, there are something I've realized. You need to build the culture of results. You want to get results. If you don't build that culture, people will not give you the results. And every month you're going to pay them salaries and They're going to do whatever you want to do. They will still say, but the culture of results start with you. And that's why I started from the beginning. I said, if you don't execute what you promise yourself, how will others execute what they promise you? So the biggest challenge in every business is the challenge of talent, challenge of people, getting people to give you the result. But don't think that they will be passionate like you. They will not. If you find anyone that is 6/10 passionate, you're lucky. You're really, really lucky. So what do you then do about it? Over communicating and holding people accountable. You know, Holding people accountable and demanding results. Because ultimately, what keeps a business alive is the result of whatever you have promised that you're going to give them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It
So
does.
for
It does.
me, honestly, I've woken up the reality that, oh, I've got great people around me, but they also have their own vision. They also have their own hustle. They're also building something. You can't hold them down from building something. So think about it for a minute. Number one, you yourself, you give your business 9/10 because you are a great entrepreneur. Okay. Then you hire someone who is very, very great like you. The person gives the business 7/10 because he is not you. So he gives 7/10. The remaining two that will make it 9, that is you. And then the person is now building something else. Maybe he's trying to mentor other people in the executive assistant program. Then the person also get distracted. Out of that 7, 2 is gone. That remains 5. And then the person now wakes up to one reality that this is not my business. It's not my father's business. I can't give myself. From that 5 remains 3. You understand? You cannot. But what you need to then do is this: every month set goals, clear goals. This is what I want you to get done. If you don't get it done by the end of the month, we review. And then he or she knows that you didn't meet the targets. I think talent is the biggest problem. Talent is the biggest crisis for every business. I think that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now that was supposed to be the last question. But then we have someone on YouTube who just asked, and I think we'll just end with that. And we have Greenbell asking, if you were to start all over again with Utiva, what would you do differently? That's the final question. And we'll just call it wraps. It's been
Yeah.
so rich.
If I were to start all over again, I will raise a lot of money. A
Okay.
whole lot of money. If I were to start all over again, I will raise a lot of money. Because in reality, no matter how great you do, someone who raises small money might beat you in the game. So if you have the opportunity, all the money you can get into the business.
Okay.
That's what I would do again. You know, I used to be the guy that believed in bootstrapping.
Profit.
I still believe in bootstrapping. But while I'm bootstrapping, I will be raising tons of cash because the battle is in the future. And the more weapons you have, the more you can win. And the weapon here is cash. Cash is king.
All right. Thank you so much, Ada. It's been awesome. Like I said, I'm going to replay this and just soak it in some more. What final words do you have for that young the looking at the participants and all that, the demography? We have a lot of young talents just starting out in tech, their tech skills, their tech journey, tech careers, and all that. What are your final words for that young African tech professional who has that big vision of along his journey building something and wow, something successful, something global? Just final words about that.
But my biggest recommendation is always around execution. And I think I've spoken a lot about it. The better entrepreneur is the guy that executes well. You know, Promise yourself you're going to do A and get it done. If you're not getting that A done, then just always, chastise yourself because ultimately the culture of results starts with you.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Eyitayo. Once again, it's been so rich. Thank you for the quite brutal, honest conversation around how young Africans can overcome the African context, the African limitations, and truly build something global. Thank you so much. Thank you for honoring our invite, and
Thank you,
thank you
guys.
for
Thank
sharing
you.
from your years of experience. Thank you so much. So, guys, you have to agree with me. It's been a fantastic keynote from Eyitayo. Um, I'm sure that we have gotten to learn a lot. I saw a comment while the session was on from somebody saying that this keynote is deeper than yesterday's own. Oh well, right? I'm sure we've learned a lot. Can we just type in the comments real quick? Thank you, Eyitayo. I want to see that. I want to see 5 or 6 of that before we proceed to the next conversation, which is the panel session. Can we type a thank you, Eyitayo? Right? Okay, I'm seeing that coming in. Just type it. Thank you, Eyitayo. Um, right about now, we will be proceeding to the panel session. Before that, I want to take a minute to acknowledge our partners and sponsors, brands and platforms who made this summit possible, basically contributing in different areas to make this a full experience. We have Tech Build Africa, and MSME Africa, which are top African platforms, media platforms that amplify the stories of African startups, basically stories around the African tech scene and ecosystem, right? So talking about top African products, startups, businesses, platforms doing awesome, creating solutions, building businesses, and basically just contributing to the all-round growth of the African tech ecosystem. We also have Tech Unlock. Tech Unlock is a training organization or company based in Lagos, where you can learn some top in-demand tech skills, right? You can access them by just basically, just search for Tech Unlock Nigeria. You'd find their website, and you can basically access some of their current trainings around cybersecurity, digital marketing, and other top career paths in tech. We would also get to talk about them at the end of the summit, and maybe just share some direct contact points or links to which you can access them. Finally, we have Lighthouse Beams. We have Beaming Lighthouse, actually. Beaming Lighthouse is a company basically that helps you curate and tell your story by publishing what you want into converting them into digital products. Helping you to publish that book, publish that digital product, and basically editing your manuscripts and taking your book idea, from just the idea stage into that finished book product, which can be sold on the market. They basically also help top talent, in Africa and beyond, to get the UK Global Talent Visa, and they have a lot of success stories there, as well. Having said that, right about now, we will just dive straight into the panel session, and we have 3 really, really awesome persons, senior tech professionals, and basically leaders in the African tech scene who would be doing justice to our topic today, which I know that a lot of us are anticipating. That topic basically is centered around how you can grow your value, how you can increase or improve your value as a techie in the tech economy. How can you grow your impact? How can you grow your income? And how can you grow your influence, right? And so we have these 3 awesome persons in the building. And right about now, I'll just be introducing them. I would be starting with Beersheba Alogbo, for short, Sheba Alogbo. Sheba is a senior manager, strategy and transactions at EY. Ernst and Young. EY is currently one of the top four biggest accounting firms in the world. So she's a senior manager in the Nigerian branch. She's a strategy consultant with over 10 years of experience. She's led innovation and growth across several companies and has been responsible for developing products and services to increase sales. She has core experience building and leading growth in the financial services, trade, consumer goods, and IT sectors. She's skilled in strategy development and monitoring, process reengineering and optimization, market assessment, business transformation, and teaching. She's a first-class computer graduate from Babcock and also has a master's in telecommunication with business from the University College of London. Sheba, it's good to have you on our panel this evening.
Thank you very
for
much.
joining us. All right. Also, good to have you on, Sheba. Also, we have Emmanuel Yirenkyi, who is a product manager, developer experience, and compliance platform at Microsoft, right? Emmanuel has a decade of experience, of industry experience, demonstrating expertise in developing solutions across sectors such as healthcare, fintech, compliance, platform, and developer experience. Emmanuel has, before joining Microsoft, Emmanuel played a vital role in expanding the Middle East and African regional operations and product growth for London-based fintech company Wise, overseeing the successful launch of multiple product lines in the UAE and Turkey. Emmanuel is from Ghana, right, and has traveled extensively across Africa, delivering life-changing solutions such as Bloom, M-Pharma's pharmacy POS and operating system, while he served in those companies. He holds a degree in biochemistry from the University of Ghana, complemented by an MBA from the same institution, and other certificates from Yale, MIT, and UCLA. I mean, the CV is rich. The CV of all our speakers is rich tonight. So, welcome, Emmanuel. It's good to have you on the panel this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here with this esteemed panel. Looking forward to a great discussion.
All right, awesome. And then finally for tonight, we have Iyanu, Durotola, Tomiwa. Iyanu is a senior software engineer at Verizon with over 10 years of global experience contributing to software growth and engineering across multiple projects and teams and across, of course, various organizations. He's a full stack engineer who has contributed immensely to companies such as Andela, Hawaii, Metal Lab, Invision, and Quati. He's also founder of Makers Innovation Lab, MIL, which is currently helping software engineering talents grow their experience and gain internships in the industry. Ian, it's good to have you on. Welcome. I think you're muted.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
All right, awesome. Right about now, we'll just dive straight into the conversation. And it's going to be I know we're online, we have viewers online watching right now on YouTube. And we're going to have a lot more persons watch as long as the internet exists and as long as YouTube exists, right? So, but then it's going to be as practical and as just really simple as possible. We are looking at the topic, growing your value in the tech economy, right? And the goal of this topic is basically to very practically, emphasis on practically, very practically share with participants how they can become better versions of themselves as techies, right? Or as tech talents. And we want to look at that in the context of how they can grow their impact, right? Which, in some sense can refer to they are skilled, they are technically skilled or digitally skilled, how they can get to, exist for more than themselves. So how they can grow their impact in the tech space or the global space, right? How they can grow their influence, and also how they can grow their income. I know that a lot of persons are, interested in the income part. And they want to earn in dollars and pounds and all of that, right? So we're going to look at this topic within that context. Now, to start off, before we start with questions, the proper panel questions, I'd like to give 2, 3, 4 minutes to each of you, to talk around this particular topic from your unique perspective and context. Your unique experience, growing your value. How can participants grow their value in the tech economy and become more relevant in terms of impact, influence, and income? I think I will start with Sheba.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Glory, for having me. Good evening, everyone, again. Maybe I think when people hear like my profile, you probably wonder why I'm here. And to be honest, I asked Glory the same question. But I think one of the major things that was quite useful for me when I was doing my BSc was that I really wanted to do stuff in technology. And I did, and I sort of excelled at it. But when I got into the workforce, I really did hate what was being done as technology at the time. So at the time when I got into the workforce, technology was very much project management than any other thing. So it was at the time where banks were having, were putting in place Finacle and the rest. So most of the technology solutions were people just projects managing what maybe someone from overseas has come to put in. But I think over the years, what has been important for me, and Glory was quite right on me and my clients, just ensuring that I can get them the right strategy, is my understanding of how technology can help people across various industries. And so I've done stuff for the police force, done stuff for banks, done stuff for insurance companies that I can almost ideate, when I hear a problem where technology could be a solution. And I think it's one of the first few things we could do. And I watched through the last session. It's important that technology talents are not boxed. I typically these days find technology talents very technician type and not business oriented. So they're very involved and in the day-to-day workings of how a code should look like, rather than what is the top line, what's the goal of things. And I feel like the people that have done well for themselves in technology, I mean, see Eyitayo, and he can almost sell like somebody that is a marketer, right? Are people that have been able to take that skill and layer on it some key other skills that are marketable and are necessary for business growth, so that you don't stay as just a technician, because that's how I think about it. And you can layer on your skills relevant. So what are those relevant things? Leadership, communication. You can understand how value is created by these codes that you write. That's how you I see people improving in their impact and even in their value, even monetary value. So, I mean, I will stop there, but that's how I think about it today. And that's what has worked for me over the last 11, 12 years that I have been doing this.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I find that there's some resonance in what you are saying, what was sort of part of what was shared yesterday as well, what the keynote speaker yesterday shared. If I can summarize what you're saying is that the hard skill is not enough. In fact, the hard skill makes you feel like a technician, right? So the hard skill is not enough. You need to add relevant soft skills. And one of them you highlighted is the marketing, right? Being able to sell. Eyitayo talked a lot about being able to tell stories, being able to sell what you do. Awesome. We're going to, do a deep dive into that as we proceed. Thank you very much, Sheba. I think we would go to Emmanuel. What's your context into this?
Yeah, it's not very different from what Beersheba has said, to be honest. I find that the way in which people who have known and have learned from have succeeded is really by sharing their stories, understanding their scope, understanding the world in which they live in, understanding how what impact they are having and how that is translating to the customer and bringing that change to uh, the customer in the end. So very early on in my career, I found myself as an engineer. And as an engineer, I ended up writing Java, we're writing JavaScripts. And I remember very early on, a lot of my mates and I from West Africa, which is where I'm from, were arguing a lot about, hey, this language is better than this language is better than this language. And I 10 years down the line, I don't think I've had that discussion anymore. And it's simply because at the end of the day, and I'm sure Iyanu, who's still an engineer, will probably tell you, it really doesn't matter what you write it in as long as it works and gets the thing done. So there's a focus that everyone sort of needs to have, and marketability is one of those things. Being able to prioritize and being able to say, yes, I'm spending my time on this because I see the value that will come up out of it. And all these things vary from company to company depending on the stage you're in. So if you are working at, let's say, Utiva right now, I'm sure growth is what they're focused on. So the question is, how can you grow as quickly and as possible? If you are working at a large enterprise, you're thinking about security, compliance, and these different things. So it's really on a case-by-case basis. But then at the end of the day, it's really important to figure out for yourself and your company and the situation in which you find yourself, what is the most important thing? And then devote yourself to that sort of cater as much as possible, and then doing that. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I'd love to pass it on. Yeah. I think you're muted. Gloria, I think you are muted.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was saying, thank you very much. That was pretty clear. Simple and short. Find what is most important, right? On your unique path. So it means that what each person has to do to grow their value might differ based on the unique contexts and scenarios we find ourselves. That's actually quite strong. So thank you very much. We'll go back to Iyanu for just to share on this around your unique context. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. Hi, Shiva. Hi, Emmanuel. I'm not about to say anything particularly different. I think I would just like to put what has been said in some context and some maybe classification. Generally, if you look at it, the three things we're talking about, impact, influence, and income, they actually have nothing to do with tech. Basically, at the very top, these things are like general concepts in the world. Influence is influence, whether you're Mark Zuckerberg or whether you're Dangote. And so if you really look at how people are actually influencing, really does not really matter what product or what field you're using. There's a thing they used to tell us, follow your passion. You can't tell me that Dangote's passion is cement or spaghetti, right? That is not his passion, right? But you can see him giving that influence. So when we actually apply the same principles that are out there to tech, then you start talking about, like they already mentioned, soft skills, because products are language agnostics, means it doesn't really matter what language you write. In the end, is the user out there able to use your product? In the end, are they getting value from it? So the path of growth, for a techie is you go from the hard coding of writing different programming language to start understanding user requirement, and then to start understanding the product value, and then you now start understanding the economic value of the company where you are and all of that. And the more you align yourself with these goals, you naturally go up the ladder, even in your company. For instance, I don't think Emmanuel will want to promote somebody, a programmer under him who doesn't even really understand how the product is affecting the users. You probably say this guy is still, he doesn't understand what we're talking about, So at the very base, just like bricklayers, you are familiar with bricklayers in Nigeria. The bricklayer is only concerned about the next brick upon the next brick. He probably does not know anything about what he's building. His job is to put the next brick there. But later when you grow, you become a supervisor or whatever field it is, you start understanding the broader concept. What are we trying to do here? And at the very top, you now start caring about your competitors. A lot of programmers don't care about their competitors. They just know that if this job is not working, I'll jump from Verizon to AT&T. But later you start, once you start growing your impact and value and the way you think about it, naturally your income will follow and your influence will follow. I think that's the only thing I want to add. They've said really amazing stuff. Let me just keep it here.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Iyanu. Thank you so much. Again, I see the really common thread, and that's exciting, right? I want to go back to Sheba, and I want us to double down on what you said, which is basically what everybody has pretty much said. Your hard skill is not enough. You need to add to yourself soft skills. I want to double down on a specific skill, which is your sellability or your marketability, if there's any word like that. Can we talk about why is that important, right? Why is it important that because a lot of young talents take pride in being very good at what they do. So if I'm a software engineer, I know how to write code. I can take care of these hard scenarios and all of that, translate design into code, or PMs or product designs and all that. But obviously that is not going to be sufficient to get you to the very top. So why is it important that I know how to market what I do and that I have a brand itself or myself that is marketable? Yeah, can we talk more about that?
Okay, thank you for the question. I think that first of all, I feel like all of us fight these hard skills, soft skills war. Maybe when we get out of school, your first year, your second year, you feel like you're the best thing out after sliced bread, and you're just like, see, guys, I'm so good. There's nothing else, But you start to realize that if you just think about the availability of skill at that level versus the availability, and I like the way Iyanu sort of drew the chart, you start to see that more and more. If you see where we are crowded, we all come out, like if you go to any graduation ceremony, there's at least 1,000 people graduating with the same set of skills. Maybe you know how to do one language better than the other. So what starts to differentiate you guys very quickly is how value is created in the market. Because while you were in school, it was okay to know how to code something, right? And get a product done, quote and unquote. But when you come out to the real world, what is now valuable is valuation of a company. What's now valuable is revenues from a product. What is now valuable is, what's our competitor doing? What market share do I have? And if you're not aligned with those key, areas, what you remain is just a great person out of school with a good skill. So the way to grow out of that is then to start to lay on skills. Unfortunately, I think Hills and Tech spoke about it yesterday. It's not something that is taught many of us in schools. No one learns to pitch in school. No one learns to stand in front of a team and say, this is my idea, this is how much it will sell, this is what it means, this is what competition is. Not many of us learn those things in school. So after, I would say, in fact, someone once told me that after the first 5 years, nobody really cares what you did in school. So every time I write my profile and people call me a first class graduate, to be honest, it's much less important to me at this point than it was maybe year one or year two after it, So it's important what you have done in the first at least 2 to 3 years that can start to build a trajectory, because value is created in the market through revenues. Let's use that, right? And so the only way to get revenue is that you are marketing a skill. And I like the way Undubisi calls it. He says that when there is friction in a market, so that means there is supply and demand. When there's that demand friction, then things begin to align. And if you want to increase your influence, you need to align. And so marketability is being able to say, after I have written this beautiful, or I have this beautiful product, how do I really sell it? And what does turning a profit look like for this product? And that's when many people, rubber hits the road, and you realize that it's not, Iyanu said it so clearly, it's agnostic, whatever that product was written on. It's now, how do I project myself? How do I project the product? How do I project the company, if you work for a company, that we can win in this market? And that's what, to be honest, the world of work is about. It's about projecting one brand a little more than the other so that someone is winning. So those skills are then things you need to do. So I hear people talk a lot about storytelling and the rest, but it's really about, what is the value that I bring to the table? I don't like using that word, but what's the value that I'm bringing, from this product? And how do I let the next person understand that value to be able to buy into it? That's it. That's all. So how does somebody buy it? Like how did we all buy iPhones? Right? How did we all buy iPhones? Like, I don't have an iPhone yet, but every time my husband has always had an iPhone. How did we all decide that iPhones were the best choices? Someone sold us a story, and we took our money. Some people saved and decided to pay for that person's story. So that's what I think. That's why marketability is now a lot more important. By year 2, year 3, out of school, you're good with your technicals. Start to build those skills, because that's what takes you forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sheba. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask Iyanu something, and afterwards we'll come to Emmanuel. And that is this: a lot of young tech talents, when they start off, in fact, a lot of, okay, so we have a lot of training platforms that teach digital skills and tech skills, right? And the most common, for a lot of them, the most common selling point to attract people to come learn, or to come pay them to learn, is in 1-2 years you start earning a lot of money from tech. Tech is the new oil. That's the very popular phrase. So the selling point is make money. You start to earn, and they'll probably put talk about a tech person that learned a skill, and then 2 years later is working for a company in the US, and he has a Benz and all of those things. My point is this: for a lot of persons, the attraction point for tech was money. Now, how does somebody with that kind of foundation transition into another focal point, which is value? So, right, so I came into industry, learned my skill and all of that, because I wanted to survive, make money, make ends meet, afford an iPhone, like Sheba said, and all that. But then there's another viewpoint which we're trying to get to, which is being a solutions provider, which is someone who's valuable, like all of you have done, which is being able to contribute to the company or space you are in a valuable way. Like Sheba said, using the metrics of, for example, of profit, profitability, and valuation, and all of that. So, how does one transition? How do you transition from point A to point B?
All right. That's a very deep question. Um, I think what I would like to say is, first off, if you're thinking in the context of Nigeria, first before thinking about global, you must understand that the average Nigerian has been wired in a way, to think about money, not value, and that's the honest truth and the sad truth at the same time. The average Nigerian has been wired in a way to pass their exam, not know what they're doing. The average Nigerian has been wired to get a job, not create anything. But these are paradigm shifts that are needed to actually, start seeing things in different perspective. And sometimes in your career, it doesn't really come until you're 5, 10 years in. Maybe Sheba will be able to explain that. Because for real, you were running the rat race. You graduated, like Sheba said, and everybody's an engineer, like 1,000 heads of engineers or whatever field you grew from. And then you got in the job market and everybody's killing it as a programmer. And it gets to a point you start realizing that there's actually much more to life than some of those things. So the paradigm shift does not come until actually you are comfortable, to be honest. So that's what you find in some advanced country. The fact that a lot of their kids can just say, I'm not going to school. What do you want to do? I just want to, it's very funny what people do in advanced country. If it's in the US, why not you're in the US? A lot of Americans, they just want to be a welder, or a swimming instructor. They just want to eat. You get, like, they don't really care about what we are chasing after. And that's because they were not raised with that mentality of, if you don't go to school, you're not eating. You're going to suffer. You see that man on the road? He didn't graduate. That's why he's there. So that fear actually, kind of has become a culture where you're chasing the bag. And so to transition, you have to stop thinking about the bag. And you cannot stop thinking about the bag until you're actually comfortable. That is the truth. You can imagine me saying, hey, I want to be a creator. People that are passionate. Say, what are you passionate about? Oh, I'm passionate about helping the homeless. And then they're out there doing all sorts of everything, but they don't have money. So in the end, they try to rally up and raise money. It just becomes difficult. The first thing is balance, and when you balance, you need to start changing your paradigm. Change the way you think about what the world is. Change the way you think about what help is. And then that is when you can now start transitioning yourself to who Sheba was describing earlier, the person who sees the big picture. Because as long as there's hunger in your stomach, the likes of Aboyeji, of course, they really tried, but he's going to be very honest with you guys. I was not looking for daily food when I was thinking about creativity. That is just the truth. So you have to balance first. And then after that, you change your paradigm and start thinking in broader pictures. I think that's the way, to change, basically. And exposure to, if you read a lot about what people are doing out there, especially if you read about founders and all that, you realize these guys are just chasing a solution. You don't see reading on their page how that, oh, that's how I got the next 20K, and so I bought chicken. I was able to eat those things they're not in the context of their discussions. So basically, make sure you are okay. Fend for yourself. And then after that, you start looking towards bigger things, bigger picture thinking, pretty much. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, you came from a unique perspective. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Iyanu. So guys, I hope we are taking notes. We can start to send in our questions in the chat so that the committee managers will curate. I want to ask Emmanuel this question, and so that everyone can note that, Sheba and Iyanu and Emmanuel as well. After this, we're going to get to your own practical stories and experiences. You start from the bottom of the pyramid, which is where everybody starts from, and you've been able to get to really, really good heights. And so we are trying to ask you to do something incredible, which is to summarize your experience into like a 5 minutes, summary, in which there will be very practical things that can be gleaned from. Now, so let's just put a note on that. For Emmanuel, I want to ask this. Something about your unique journey, which I think has been mentioned, once or twice on this session, is that you have placed a premium on learning, right? And so you have apart from your regular university, what you studied, you have an MBA, You have educational certificates from Yale, from MIT, from UCLA, and on and on. I'm sure there are other ones you've not shared yet, which we've not captured, right? And there was, you were obviously driven by something, right? For a number of persons, I personally did not find university funny, but and a lot of probably other persons are like that. But in spite of that, there's yesterday's session, we talked about there's emphasis on personal development, right? So you did all of this because you had your goal on, you had a goal. So maybe from your own unique story, why is it important? Why is it important why is personal development and continuous learning important? Why is it important to go to great lengths to continue to improve yourself? Why did you do it? And what has been some of the practical benefits from you along your journey? Because that can be tied directly to your value and how that has grown to get into work in Microsoft.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I took on, you're absolutely right. Professional development has always been key to the way I think about things, and I've always been centered around continuous learning. The way I think about it is framed very well by our CEO. He frames it growth mindset. So it's really just around understanding that when you're in a room of people, yes, be confident, know what you know, but then also be willing to learn from everyone, and then also be willing to continuously learn to improve yourself, because that's the only way, especially as we are building long careers. Because it sounds like, yeah, I'm building a career, I need to learn how to create a website, and then once I create the website, that's done. No, next week you'll be building a mobile application, next week you'll be building a service, next week you'll be building a Kubernetes cluster. It's so many different things. So it's important that you continuously learn to keep abreast with changing technology, because like we've seen in the last 2 years, technology is changing so fast that now we're all talking about AI, when last year or last 2 years, none of us was talking about learning anything close to it. So something that has been the hallmark with me has been to continuously put myself in situations where I am uncomfortable, where I'm learning in the most, and I'm learning about things that make me, well, like I said, uncomfortable, but by the time I'm done, I feel like, yes, I've achieved this thing. And then I find a way to sort of align what I'm learning to the value that I'm creating. So, for example, like I said, I started with a biochemistry degree, went to MEST, finished learning how to write software, started a company, did that, kept learning, learned about business, went into product. It wasn't a prerequisite, but then I felt like learning about all these things would put me in a better position to be able to actually execute at my job. And it goes back to what the previous speaker was speaking about, being able to be execution grounded. So doing that and being able to deliver in the best way. So I did that. And another key, some of the key skills that I've learned by doing the MBAs and the Yale and MIT programs I've been around, really building relationships, leading, and all of that is part of leadership. Like being able to understand when you're having a conversation with someone, what is it exactly that they want out of the conversation? What is the and really diving deep into the nuance of what do they exactly want? So all of these help with building partnerships, coming up with different integrations. So all of these have been relevant at different stages in my career. To summarize, it's really not about having the certificate. It's more about meeting the people, learning the skills, and then figuring out how to apply it to different stages of my career. I don't think I'm done with learning, and I don't think any of us should be done with learning. We should continuously strive to learn. There's a colleague who I work with who has been at Microsoft for maybe 20 plus years, who went back to school to read computer science all over again. Because when he did computer science 20 years ago, it was a completely different computer science. So he took it upon himself to go back. It sounds, and I asked him, what in life are you looking for? Exactly, and which is exactly what I'm getting from your laugh. But he's doing it. He's not looking for any certificate. He's looking to learn. And we are in a world today where there's so many resources about learning, and we should be curious and continuously be striving to learn. That's the way I would end.
Awesome. Thank you very much. From what you said something, which is you're not done learning, so we should expect more certifications, correct?
No, that's like I said, certifications, no, but
I know they're not the goal. I'm just saying we should expect more, right?
Potentially, yes.
Potentially. All right. Thank you very much. So, guys, I hope we are learning, right? Learning a lot. You cannot overvalue the importance of continuing to learn and develop yourself. There's something you said, which I find is critical. A number of the things you learned, the places you got into, or the programs you took, and the schools you took them from, was not just about what you're going to learn. It was so you could get into certain rooms, meet certain people, and have certain conversations. Awesome. We can tie that into networking, which Eyitayo talked about. Awesome. Thank you very much. Now, we'll get to the juicy part, which is money, and I'm sure that's what a lot of us are waiting for. And I'm just going to ask a very straight question around income. And obviously, we'll be talking from like unique experiences because we're all like senior guys. It was intentional, right? So I'm going to start with Sheba. Looking at where you started from, when you started up until now, where you are, looking at the time it's taken, what would you say? And looking at, obviously, as you've been climbing up, the income has been growing, right? What would you say has contributed the most to your ascension, as well as the increase in income? I see you looking up like you've not been ascending, you've been ascending, right? So what would you say has contributed to the growth in income? Now, I mean, there's several sides to this. We can look at this from a career ascension perspective, but I would like you to talk about the growth in the money, in the benefits, the compensation, the bonuses, right? What would you say has contributed the most to your rapid growth in terms of income? And yeah.
Okay, I like that you use the word rapid. I'm in Nigeria, and if I take my income, I think, let me try to answer the question. So first is, when I started my career, I had a and I'm also a woman. So when I had my first child, and I realized that where I was, so I used to work in an organization. There are competitions where I work now, so I won't say their name, but I realized that it was a safe place to have a child. I decided that I will be there and have my child. But I think that if you ask me the question in the opposite way, that's probably the worst thing for progression around monetary value, because what that serves you is you just go with the pay structure, right? And so my first major jump was when I left. I went to industry, and I spent 2 years at a retail organization, and it really didn't dawn on me how much more I had. Let me say it that way. It didn't really dawn on me until a particular day I walked in to do my hair somewhere, and I felt a bit out of place. Yes, I felt a bit out of place, but I could pay for. This is a premium place I went to make my hair. Maybe the ladies on the call understand this, but I could pay for it without thinking, So I had a conversation with someone after it and said, "This is how I felt after this." And the person said to me, "Sheba, do you have an idea how much you make and how many rooms you can enter because of that?" And that's the first time. And I spent in my first organization 6.5 years, because I had my 2 babies in that organization. So that was the first time that it really dawned on me that, oh, you know what, so I feel like, first of all, is it's important to look outside when you can. So if you're not an entrepreneur and you are in a career, then test the waters. Don't sit in a place and be. Loyalty does not pay capitalism. Capitalism doesn't pay loyalty. So be very sure that you are not getting the wrong end of the stick. And I think that that's what happened. But in my case, it was important that I had some stability at the time I was having kids. So, but when I moved, I could negotiate better, and it was better for me. But one more thing, I think, so first of all is the movements, right? Be open to move, be open to new opportunity. I like something Emmanuel said about be open to be uncomfortable, because when you move, typically there's an uncomfortability that happens. The last thing I would say is find people that understand your worth. And I think that many people don't find these people early enough. But I've had a particular mentor that has been like, I've signed offers that he looks at and is like, Sheba, this is extremely below you. You shouldn't be doing this, right?
Mhm.
So find people that you can. It's important to have people that have bigger mindsets than you are, right? And this particular mentor made me negotiate a 37% increase once in my salary. And it was probably the most daunting thing I've done in my life before. I have never done it before, But it's just saying, Sheba, these are your skills. You cannot tell me that you will not earn so. And then we have that conversation, especially when you bring value. So once you have value to back it, your employer is more likely to say, okay, can we have a conversation about this? But one is have the value, because again, if there's no substance, there's nothing that they are paying for, right? Second is capitalism doesn't pay loyalty. So be very sure that you're getting your market value for wherever you are, except you're getting value from some other things. And that's what I was getting in here. The third thing is have people that are daunting around you and that can push you to some limits with respect to income, and can say, you know what, ask for double, you know, and see what happens. And something I like to say to myself is that if I don't ask, I can't get it. So ask.
Awesome. Even me, if I'm learning, I think I'll take some actions. Thank you so much. It's been so rich. You said a couple things. I liked when you talked about having a mentor who has a bigger mindset, and then they can push you. Because I know that typically for the average talent, there's a fear of, if I make a request, what if they say, who are you to ask? Please leave this place, that kind of thing. But then having somebody, and then you cut it off by saying, if you do not ask, you will not get. Awesome. Thank you. Very, very practical tips. You started also by talking about something Emmanuel mentioned before. That is, be willing to be uncomfortable, as well. Thank you so much. I think we should go to Iyanu. You you earn in dollars. You start from naira, and now you're in dollars. And I know that there's a lot of things that's contributed to that, but I want us to try and narrow that conversation down to how you've grown in value, and how your income has also grown in that over the last couple years. What would you say have been some of the biggest, your biggest personal secrets or strategies, whether intentional or unintentional, to achieving this?
All right. I think I want to reference something Sheva said, and that is capitalism does not pay loyalty. And that's one of the biggest learning you learn in tech, you get in tech, and that is basically, to be honest, right? People who jump often, actually, statistics show that people who jump often get more. I've not really jumped as often as some of my friends that I know. I have like an average of 3 years everywhere. But then of course, in one of the company I grew, through the ladder. For me, when initially, look, I worked at Antela at one point, and whenever we got somebody new, maybe a trainer, there's this thing we ask: is it for love or for money? Now, a lot of people usually say for both. Some people say for money, some say for love, and some of the frustrations people started getting into, is the money part later on, because initially everybody just wanted to be a tech guy. And then later on, we saw some of our mates doing things. And you started getting to your head that, guy, forget these code things. You're writing code, but you're not driving a good car. That kind of thing. So later we started realizing that actually the faster you jump, the more money you get. And I got one strategy from Sheba. Work for your competitor. Work for my competitor. I don't know if you could say that, but to be honest, negotiation is a really big deal when it comes to leveraging more, generally. And Sheba also said something I would like to iterate. Second point I'm getting is talk to people who have bigger minds. At one point in my career, somebody looked at me and said, guy, you can get more than this, that kind of thing. And then the guy just, in my mind, I'm like, are you sure? And then it really helped me. The guy really, really helped me. I was like, no, don't apply here, that kind of thing. So yeah, you need people like that in your life. For me, the growth was straightforward. From school, I've always been a tech guy. Anyways, from university, right back in university, I was doing project for master students. But I was not getting anything out of it. No visibility, no documentation, no brand, no marketing. I was just there. I wrote a curriculum for like our engineering lab as at when I was in my 400 level. No visibility, no documentation, nothing. I mean, there are so many things I've done that I can't document them. I can't really even put them in a portfolio. And that's something. When you're growing your value, you need things you can refer to.
Yes.
You need to be able to say, this is what I did, And so those things are the things you fight for. Like right now in a recent project I did, I deliberately fought to hold a service, because when we started the POC, nobody was looking at the service. Immediately we got the first, client, and they say, hey, these guys are, then all of a sudden, all these guys, and they're trying to jump into my code. And, people are doing funny stuff. Like someone took my code, refactored it, and was literally went to my boss and was, kind of presenting. And my boss had to send me the link. And I got to the call. I was shocked. What's this guy doing my code? Like, people will take over anything that can give them a name, a value, because that is what is important. Because the next time I'm jumping, I'm going to say, in my format is, I built this service from start. They got this client. They signed this contract for $20 million. They did this, they did this. And that is also my name. So while you are jumping, like I said, jumping is very important from company to company. For money, when you start your career, maybe stay 3 years, but later on, especially when you have above of 5, 6 years, just do a year or do 2 years and jump. You get more money, honestly. It's a formula, right? So when you start jumping, you need to, be able to show you're working. You need to be able to show why you deserve more, because when you're negotiating, you're going to say, this is what I did, and this is what you're using it for, all of that. So for me, what has worked, initially, I stayed through Andela. Andela is 4 years, grew through the ranks. After Andela, I did 3 years somewhere, and then I jumped again, So basically, if you can stay somewhere to ground yourself, after that, just follow what Sheva said, go for your competitor. And double your ask, pretty much, Thank
All
you.
right, awesome. Thank you very much, Iyanu. You said something that I think was just mentioned for the first time, which I would like every participant to note down, and that is the power of documentation. Um, as you work on big things, I mean, they don't really have to be big as long as they're valuable, right? As you work on valuable things, big things, ensure you are documenting in such way that you can present. And also, you need to be able to defend it when required. And it could come in very handy when you're applying for like a new job or you're trying to negotiate a raise and all of that. That is really, really key. Thank you so much, Iyanu. I think we'll come to Emmanuel. And then after this, we'll just have a final round of questions and we'll call it wraps. It's been so much value so far. So Emmanuel, from Ghana to Microsoft, what was practically, how did that happen, and what can persons learn from your own unique experience?
Yeah. So I think it's uh, the first thing that happened for me right out of university was the willingness to take a risk and switch. I don't know why I even decided to switch to IT. It could have been anything else, but then it being willing to take that risk and make that jump, and it's been continuous along that path. Whenever I feel like I'm saturated, hey, you know what? We need to switch into something new. Um, Same thing happened when I became an engineer. After a while, it became okay. So I'm working on this API. I'm working on this database. It's very it at the point it became very monotonous. And I said, you know what? Switch product. When I joined products, it became requirements. Fortunately for me, there was a next switch. So the only thing I've said is continuous learning. When you find that there's an opportunity to learn more, switch. That it aligns with the growth mindset, because at the end of the day, try to visualize yourself as, I don't know, a 45-year-old you who is leading whatever it could be, whatever that 45-year-old you is. Try and based off where you are, think about all the experiences that you would want to have accumulated and how you could add all those experiences into this potentially amazing person that has achieved all these different little things. So like we talk like Beersheba and Iyanu have spoken about, like switch to your competitor, see what they are doing differently. Are they doing something differently than what you are doing you're doing in the previous organization? And if you do that, what can you learn from that? It always comes back to the learning. And then also, we already spoke about the documentation, and writing is a great skill. We don't write enough. I don't write enough. I don't think more and more, I'm seeing more and more activity from people on LinkedIn who are continuously writing. We all need to do a better job of, hey, this week, this is what I worked on. I wish I tell myself in my mind to do that every week, and for some reason I don't. But I'm telling you as if I'm telling myself. So write, hey, this week I worked on this. This is what it came to. And then at the end of the day, think about it in terms of you are building sort of your CV for your next interview with everything that you're writing. So everything sort of adds up. It's like a house that you're building. Everything is a brick that you're adding on until you have this final picture. The last thing I would say is, yeah, the negotiation room. In the negotiations, it's very, I found myself in very different situations. So in some situations, it was almost like I didn't have a job. So it was like the negotiation is slightly different. When you have something that you have your leg on and you are comfortable where you are, take the risk and negotiate ruthlessly, because you have nothing to lose. In that state, you can, I mean, what's I've spoken to people and my mentors have told me, what's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is they would say no, and you'd go back to your original salary. You're fine. But imagine what an extra X would do to your life. And we're Africans. As we are standing here, we seem as islands, but we're not islands. We have dependents, and our dependents have dependents. So what that means is, it means that when we are negotiating for our salaries, we are negotiating for our families and our families' families. So yeah, be ruthless about that. But that can only happen when you are in a good position. So if you're happy with your salary, you're good, you're doing your work well, it opens the door for you to negotiate very well and see 2x, 3x, see what happens. If they say no, we can't, then okay, what can you do? And then you can, I mean, at the end of the day, if you really want to move and it's the same salary, I've moved with the same salary before. I've moved to a new company with exactly the same salary. But like Beersheba said, it's really about the package and the whole opportunity. So that's another thing to consider. But at the end of the day, everything builds up to what I'm thinking about in terms of a final picture.
Awesome, awesome. A lot of things said. You started with continuous learning. You talked about being willing to take risks, which I think everybody has talked about. I think that there's been a lot of, and I think it's quite important for, there's something that has been said by everyone from your unique experiences, and that is be willing to jump. When that was first mentioned, I had a thought, which was, you see companies basically that are reluctant to hire you if you are if they see you jump 1 year, 1.5, 2 years. I'm sure everybody's laughing, so maybe you talk about that. Like, so on one hand, be willing to jump, willing to take risks. As you the more you do that, and of course, as you grow your value, then the more you can get to earn. But then on the flip side, there are guys who literally try saying, "Oh, I saw an ad on Twitter last week, looking for a PM for one of the fintech companies. I think it's an African company, and one of the requirements there, and I kid you not, one of the requirements there was that you must have shown a history of working at least 2 years in the company, right? So we have a couple of companies like that. Now we probably can touch that in the final round of questions. The final round of questions will be, you all happen to work in global companies, really big companies, basically. And I would love you to really share finally, what would you say got you into the door? What would you say got you in? Now I know that there are different ways one can transition into the company. Either you're coming from a previous company into a senior role, or you got in a junior role and then you have climbed the ladder within the company, right? But I'd like us to talk about that finally. Before that, there's a question from Greenbell, and the question which is in the chat is, every day I devote most of my time seeing how I can grow my capacity and skill set. So I assume she's saying she devotes her time to taking courses and learning. But then how would you balance that, or how do you advise her balance that with the need to look for a source of income? So I think it's basically how do I balance growing myself and earning? How do I ensure that one doesn't usurp the other? Because they're critically important. Like Iyanu said, the truth is that the transition to becoming a solutions provider will be easier if you're comfortable, right? So at the beginning, how do you balance growing your skill and earning? So I don't know who wants to touch on that in 2 minutes, and then we'll just take the final round. Who wants to take that? Iyanu, do you want to take that? Probably.
Well, I guess other speakers should also chime in 1 or 2 points, because I may not cover everything. Emmanuel and Shiba should probably prepare to say something also. So yeah, when it comes to balancing between skills and looking for a job, right? I think that's the nuance basically. You can't look for a job if you don't have a skill, right? And whatever skill you have will determine the kind of job you want to go for. So it goes without saying, you probably need a bare minimum set of skills that allows you to get in. And then when you're in, you can grow your skills, to jump. And I think that's just the way it is. And like I said, 2 years in the company, you should be ready to jump. 2 years is good. If you have 6 months, then you're gonna have problems, like you mentioned earlier. So when it comes to balancing it, when you get a bare minimum of skills that can get you into somewhere, then you probably want to do that. And I'm thinking in a very Nigerian context. Shall I say Africa? I don't know what it looks like in Ghana, but in Nigeria now, it's a little difficult, right? Right. So get the skills that can get you somewhere, and then while you're there, you can now learn more skills, to prepare you for either moving up the ladder or moving up the company.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. I don't know if Emmanuel wants to chime on that, and then
No, Iyanu said it all. It's really, yeah.
Okay.
There's a balance. You need to learn, have the basics. Then, the only thing I would say is, and this is really quickly, when you see a job posting, you don't need to check all the boxes before you apply. Apply, get the no, and move on. Job applications, I see them like a war where I will lose almost 90% of the time. But at the end of the day, you only need 1 year because you don't. I mean, you only get one job, so keep applying, and be ready for the no's. That's all I'll say.
All right. Awesome. Thanks. So Greenbelt, I hope that's clear. If it is, please just indicate in the comments that you're clear on that. So we're starting to wrap up now. It's been really, really rich. Just like I said for Eyitayo's session, I'm going to have to go back to listening to this. I'm personally challenged on a number of things, so I'm going to take some. I'm going to be probably taking some steps personally, right? But I mean, that aside, the final round of questions or final round will be around this. So let me start with Sheba. Sheba, you currently work in EY. I don't know how you feel every time I say it's one of the big four, right? But yes, it's one of the big four indeed. How did you get into what helped you get into the door, right? Now, obviously, it was because you were valuable. Obviously, it was because the company saw you could solve their problems. But I'm trying to. I'm hoping we can, we can share like in the value, if that is like in the scope, in the value, what were specifics that helped you get in the door of such a big company, and not just that, has gotten you to the senior role you occupy? What were specifics that got you into that? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Glory again. I think I can't talk about how I got into EY without something very I don't want to use the word strange because I don't think it's strange, but something has happened in my career all through. So after the first door I got into with a proper application, I haven't gotten into any doors apart from referrals. So my first job was with PwC, and in PwC I was a graduate trainee, and literally I took exams. I came, I did the first interview, did the second interview. I knew no one. My parents do nothing close to what I do today. Um, and I got the job. And I spent 6.5 years in PwC. And a bit of an answer to the other question is that when I was in that first job, 6.5 years, I did everything I knew. So when people say they're building skills, I'm worried because we can't connect the dots forward. We can only connect the dots back. So whatever your hand fights to do today, do it, right? Do it. Because the particular person that got me into the door for EY, I do nothing close to what she does today. She's now currently a partner in EY. She was my first manager at
Wow.
PwC. I was fresh out of university, first job. Like the questions I asked them on that job, I was probably the most clueless human being on that job. But for some reason, now this I believe during the 6.5 years, she's probably sat down with my career moderation. She's heard a bit more about me. We've interacted, but she does like HR consulting. I do nothing close to that today. And so when they were looking for a senior person in strategy in EY, she just buzzed me on WhatsApp. I said, are you sure you don't want to come back to consulting? And literally, that's what it was. So one of the things I say to a lot of people is at the end of every job application is a human being that just needs a role to be filled. And once you can unlock that, it's always easy. So after my first job, where I spent 6 years, the next job I got was with a retail firm, exactly the same way. This time around, it's only that this person was my peer. So we got into the PwC at the same time. She had left to start her own business. Her husband's boss needed somebody, and they called me. And it was very funny, that second job, because when they called me, I was 3 days out of giving birth to my second born. I remember I said I was staying here. So I told the man that, oh, I'm not ready, this. He waited a whole year and then called me a year after and said, oh, are you sure you don't want the role? And that's how I moved, right? And at the time I moved, I had a role with InterSwitch. I had an offer from InterSwitch that I got from the same. So We need to be very sure. And I struggle now that I work with younger techies. I struggle with um connection, personal connections, because these are the things that leave lasting experiences, in our mind, above and beyond our skills and anything. That somebody decides that this person will be good enough for me to pass their CV on. It's more soft than it is hard. So that's, to be honest, that's how I have grown in all my jobs. The second thing I think, and maybe the last thing I will say, is one big mistake I made in my first bout of professional endeavor was that I wasn't visible. And so this technician mentality, I had it also. So I will sit on the computer, I will work hard, I will submit stuff, but I just didn't get the promotions. I just didn't like. I like the way Iyanu spoke. I just didn't get the visibility. No one knew who I was. I was like an ostrich. Just my head was just buried. I did fantastic work. In fact, somebody once said to me that I was salt. So everything needed a bit of me, but I'm just not visible. So it's you then realize that it's really not just about what you know how to do. How can you call me salt? Are you serious? So that visibility, I started to be very, very conscious about who my stakeholders are. Today in EY, I have a group of counselors and I map stakeholders for them. And I say, sit down, guys, if we want this promotion this year, these are the people you need to be in their face. They need to know what you're doing. So that's and personal connection. People call it networking, people call it whatever. But let people understand what you do. Let people know that you genuinely want to move, and keep those relationships even above when you live somewhere. Yeah, so that's what I was.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Thank you very much. A couple of things you said were very clear. Talking about the referrals, and how that even the referrals would not be possible if you were not known by certain people and if your value was not seen. Thank you very much. I think we'll go to Iyanu. Looking at your own unique journey, you're currently working in Verizon. What would you say? And we started for Andela, and then now at Verizon. What would you say, basically, were the most important things for you, and which participants can glean from, which got you into the door of a global company or several global companies?
Well, I mean, it's not so different from what Beersheba said, so I will just be summarizing. I remember I was at Huawei when someone called me and it was like, can there's this Andela thing going. Andela was pretty new that time. And I was like, well, this Huawei is kind of getting somehow, because now you have to work on Sundays, so that they can recommend you for appraisal and all that. So I just jumped, went to Andela, spent my years in Andela, and from Andela, someone who left Andela gave me a referral to Quadi. So it's either that, and I think my last Verizon job is, I mean, that one was just pretty much application. Someone saw my profile, some of the recruiters, and then reached out to me. And you usually get, I mean, I think the advantage for me was I was in the US. So once you just change your location to US and you have the experience, you get bombarded, with requests. But I think something that helped me negotiation was I got a job with one company. They had even sent the computer and all that. So when the other guys came and I liked what they were doing, I just told them, hey, I already have this job, so are you ready to march upwards? That kind of thing. So that's how my journey has been. So it has always also been referrals, and except for the Emmanuel method, which is just apply hundreds, wake up, apply 10, continue improving your skill. The next day, apply 10. You just continue like that. I'm not sure if Emmanuel applied more than that, but that was what I was doing at that point. And eventually it was good. Great.
Awesome, awesome. So, guys, I hope we can see the common thread, right? It seems that the higher you climb, the less applications you have to do. Hope you can see the common thread, right? No, Emmanuel, don't worry. I see your face. We're getting to you, and you probably just bring the balance on the other end. Don't worry. But I hope we can see that, right? how that everything you're involved in right now is a stepping stone for the next, in terms of the actual work you're doing, as well as the people you're interacting with on a daily. It could be your manager, your line manager, it could be your peer. Iyanu talked about how, I think it was Iyanu Sheba, about how a peer referred, right? So what you're involved in right now is stepping stone for the next. Take it seriously, in terms of the work you're doing, documenting it, and in terms of the people you're working with, right? And I like, something that Sheba also talked about, which was that, the the impression you leave on the people you're working with, can get to play a long role in your future endeavors as well. So this has been really rich. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. From your own unique POV, like I said before, from Ghana to Microsoft, what would you say? So part of the things we're trying to achieve with this is, really helping the mindset, right? And that's why this summit has like a very Pan-African context, and that is, we've like we talked about yesterday a lot, Bisola, and even the panel session. We've seen a lot of success stories. Somebody who's starting off from the village, a community, local community in Lagos, all the way to working in a Spotify or in a Facebook or in a TikTok, right? And we see those stories, right? So our goal also is to really inspire and motivate that it is possible, right? So in your own case, from Ghana to Microsoft, what would you say got into Microsoft? Now, you said a couple of things. You said continuous learning. So I'm hoping you don't really repeat that. But I mean, right? So, but what got you in? What would you say got you into Microsoft, working in such a global company, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a track record of execution. That's the way I would summarize it. In my first company, everyone in Ghana knew what I've been able to deliver. We have been able to digitize health insurance claims, and I was able to very quickly summarize that and say, hey, this is what we've been able to do. Then I moved on. So I think wherever I have gone, and I don't want to get into the details, like wherever I have gone, I have been able to show very succinctly. It's almost like, think of an elevator pitch. What were you able to deliver? And then once you're done with that, if there's any specifics, I think Iyanu said you need to be able to almost prove yourself, right? And sometimes the easiest way to prove yourselves is almost name dropping your partners and who you worked with, or even being very specific about the numbers. So I did that at M-Pharma when I was able to talk about the different countries. I can say to you to this day where I actually deployed the first POS in Zambia, which pharmacy. I can tell you about which friend I stayed at, whose couch I slept on, and different things. So it all goes down to the storytelling. So in that interview process, and Iyanu, back to your answer, it wasn't 10, it was 20 in the morning, 20 in the evening. So that's how I did it. So you start your day at 6, you do 20, you end your day, and then you do another 20. And then by the next morning, you would have gotten 38 no's, and you have 2 interviews waiting for you. And then those 2 by the Friday, they'll be gone. But that's another story for another day. So that's how Monday will start, and you keep going for another month of no's. But essentially, you need to be able to frame your story. Like, if you got in on the job today, you would be able to do the job because your track record speaks for itself. So I know as we're speaking to people from very different, like there's somewhat senior people, there's somewhat early people. If you're an early person, think about your internship. What were you able to deliver in your internship? I think one thing I've learned is very few people don't like to do internship because they are cheating them. They think they are not being paid fairly. Do the internship. It's track record. As you build up, think and don't think about the number of releases. Think about how that connects to the product and the value, like Beersheba has said. So for the interview, for example, I did get a referral to TransferWise. I didn't get a referral to Microsoft. I had to apply on my own as one of the 40 for that day. And just like Iyanu, I already had another offer, but to make matters worse, I had actually started the job for another week. So, so I was in the job when the Microsoft offer came. Um, but to summarize, what I would say is what you are doing is building blocks, and you need to be able to show value consistently so that they can trust that you will consistently be able to show value. And um, building your network of supporters so that you can think about different names, partners, everything sort of fits like a mind map. So another, for example, like very to end, how I got the TransferWise job, it's because I did a lot of payments integrations when I was at M-Pharma. So based on the payments integrations I did with Flutterwave, with there's another one, Softfloat, there's so many others. But then EcoBank, I did those payments integrations. Like, oh, you know everything about payments in Africa? Yes, I know everything. I didn't know anything, but yes, I know everything. and based off that, they said, come and do Wise for Middle East and Africa. So that's how it works. And then it keeps building on. So I'm building, the way I'm thinking about my career, I'm building sort of a picture. And at the end of the day, what will that picture look like? Only God knows.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Just to summarize what you said, it is establish a track record, right? And that track record will speak for you and get you into bigger doors. Thank you so much. We're wrapping up in a couple minutes. There's a final question from Neosin. I'm going to direct that to Iyanu, and then afterwards, Sheba will just help us wrap up in a 1-2 minute summary. Just capping everything up. And the question is, if it's not too late to ask, how do I deal with being overqualified for a job, for a role? I'm tempted to say you should find a bigger role. Simple and short. But then, Iyanu, what do you have to say to this, please? How do you deal with being overqualified for a role? Yeah.
Find a bigger role. I mean, if except you love the role so much, you're ready to remove some things from your CV. Actually, one thing in application, if you're applying for job too, actually, sometimes it's good to tailor make your CV for the job. I'm sure Emmanuel is well experienced in that. After 40 per day, for a month, so sometimes you have to tailor make your CV for the job, right? So if you're overqualified and they're sending you emails saying we are so sorry, you are overqualified, then you apply again and remove the overqualification. It's just simple. I don't know. Maybe Sheba has something else to add, but that's what I would do.
Okay, Sheba, anything to add? And Sheba, just help us wrap up. It's been incredible. It's been incredible. All of the thoughts from Eyitayo keynote up until now, there's so much value. And a lot of people will also get experience value. So do you have anything to add to this? But if yes, fine. If not, if yes or no, please, you also just help to summarize and bring the thoughts together with respect to the young talent on the call, African talents from an African context, growing their value in terms of income, impact, influence from now henceforth and over the next couple of weeks, months, and years. Yeah.
Okay, so I think Iyanu succinctly answered that. Maybe the person just wants a particular brand on their CV or something. So, but tailor your CV to read that. And when you get to the interview or the discussions, you have to make sure you keep up your gameplay, till you get into the job. I think it's been an interesting conversation. Some of the things I personally have taken away is at the very beginning, Emmanuel started speaking about knowing what you want. And I know that maybe even now, what we want may change, but it's important that we are open, to, I like something, Iyanu first said that we start with this thinking around just balancing ourselves, especially when we come from Africa, right? The poverty levels, the dependents, people that have paid money to send you to school, they are waiting for you, So just get something to at least take off the load from these people and get some balance, and then you can start to move. The next thing is start to execute. And while you're doing that, document. I really do love that. This is one thing that everybody, like Emmanuel says, we don't write enough. I probably don't do any writing at all on LinkedIn, but it's important that we document, and especially for cultures like ours, where because maybe we're either Christians or Muslims, where pride is seen as something, you need to be comfortable with sharing your success stories. That's the value that the market requires of you, and think of yourself as a company, right? Imagine that TekNexus today did not advertise this, right? So they just put it in, just advertise. That's what you do when you document. And then at every different turn, show your workings. I like, when we study in school, they say solve something from first principle. So it's really that you can sit in a room and state that I've done this and this is how I did it, right? So be able to defend some of the things that you've documented. Keep the right relationships, and ensure that those relationships, I mean, I don't like to see relationships that things that people capitalize on, but relationships are actually things you can capitalize on. It depends on how you walk through with them. One of the other things that I got from Emmanuel is just the tenacity. 40 series a day. There's a lot of tenacity and grit, to be able to do that. I think last but not the least is capitalism does not reward loyalty. If you have the right value, and you can see that value is in the market, then find those marketable skills, market yourself, and be able to increase your impact, your influence, and your income. So thank you, Glory. I hope I did my
Yeah,
panelists, my
sure,
fellow panelists.
sure. I think I take home quote this session, all the sessions is capitalism does not reward value. Even when fiscal hall, as people should cite with me, I will go one time. Capitalism does not reward value. Oh, sorry, loyalty rather.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Sheba. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you so much, Iyanu. Thank you for all of the value you have dispensed. It's already impacted lives. If nobody got anything, I have gotten stuff I'm going to implement, right? So it's already impacted lives, and it will yet a lot of life. Thank you so much. We're just going to start to wrap up now. Thank you, everyone that has stayed on. Just like yesterday, it's been 2 hours, 40 minutes of immense value, right? As we start to wrap up now, I'd like us to put in the comments a thank you greeting for our panelists and speakers. So I want you to write a thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you. Thank you, Sheba. Thank you, Iyanu. I want to see some of those fire emojis in the chat. Let's go, guys. We're wrapping up now. This also brings to end the TekNexus Africa Tech Summit, which for this edition is virtual. Most likely the next one is going to be physical somewhere prime, somewhere in Nigeria. I'm sure we've gotten a lot of value starting from yesterday, the keynotes by Bisola Alabi, founder of Houston Tech, around how you can export your tech skills globally within it, from Africa as an African, to the panel session where we talked about solving Africa's problems through tech. Amazing conversations down to today, where we start with a keynote from Eyitayo, very passionate, very inspiring, talking about how you can build that global business from Africa, and wrapping up with this panel session talking about how you can grow your value in the tech economy in terms of your income, impact, and influence. And I'm sure we've gotten. Yeah, I see the fire emojis coming. Let's keep that. Let's keep those coming. For if you're on the call, you're most likely already part of the TekNexus Africa community. But if not, TekNexus Africa basically is a platform created to mentor and support tech talent in Africa. And we exist for you. Our goal basically is to help you develop the right kind of digital or tech skills, launch that amazing career, and basically just scale your value and impact, which are some rising conversations we're having right now. And we do this through several initiatives. And we have a group, a monthly, our group mentorship monthly sessions, where we get like top mentors to come talk around specific topics. And we've brought mentors from Spotify, Flutterwave, MTN, and more. And we have this monthly. We didn't have for this month, but we're going to kick that off from next month. So you want to stay in the community, or if you're not in the community, you want to join in. So our community managers right now would put in the link to join the community in the chat. That's YouTube chat, so you can basically just join the community. There's all of value coming in. We also have our TekNexus apprenticeship program, which we will be launching on the 1st of July. And what we do there basically is that we pair you as a newbie tech talent directly with a senior mentor. And you're going to be paired with that mentor for a specified duration, 1 month, 2 months. And you get to learn directly. The cool thing about that is that you and your mentor are in the same field. It could be product science, it could be product design, software engineering, front end or back end, it could be product management, project management, and data science. We're starting with those 6 tracks. And for now, so we pair you with a mentor and you get to learn and be mentored by them. And so weekly calls, discussions, frank conversations, basically with a goal to help you grow and help you get closer to getting into the industry and getting that role. You're also going to be working on a capstone project with a mentor. We have mentors already. We're basically just screening to get the best possible ones, but we have mentors already, dozens of them. We're going to make a call for apprentices, and that is you on the other end of the mentorship. We're going to make that call next week. So you want to stick around to be part of our pilot launch, right? And we also have our TekNexus project teams, which is a program to help you get that internship. And we have a couple of success stories already, persons who have learned a skill just like yourself and have successfully gotten an internship with a company. Basically, it could be a tech-enabled company or a tech company or maybe a startup, right? So you want to also stick around in community for when we take the next batch of such talent, right, into the team. Once again, it's a wrap. It's been a mega amazing conference. The value has been incredible, and I'm sure we've gotten a whole lot. Once again, I want to thank our speakers and thank you so much for gracing our stage. Thank you for honoring our invite. We might call on you in the future, probably. But thank you so much. At this juncture, I will be bringing to end the TekNexus Africa Tech Summit. I hope we've gotten a lot of value. This sessions basically will remain on YouTube, and so you can always come back to rewatch. I want to encourage you to not be stingy. We're going to ensure that over the next couple weeks, months, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people get to watch this videos. We're going to do that. So you want to start that by not being stingy. If you've gotten any value, as soon as we end the live session, just take the link and share it with your friend. Share in your WhatsApp status, share on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, TikTok. We have a lot of content there. This is a lot of value. This is value that changed lives. So share this video, share the link with persons so more persons can get to watch. Right about now, and on behalf of the TekNexus Africa community, I am Gloria Lamigoke, and I hereby bring the summit to an end. Thank you for joining in. We would see you in the community as we continue with the some of the amazing stuff we're doing. As we wrap up, I want to shout out our partners and sponsors again. Thank you, Tech Build Africa. You can access them at techbuild.africa for exciting and latest stories on the African startup scene and the entire ecosystem as a whole, tech ecosystem. I want to shout out to MSME Africa. You can access them at msme.com as well. I want to shout out to Tech Unlock. Tech Unlock currently, like I shared earlier, they are a training platform or company currently based physically in Lagos, Nigeria, and they run tech training or digital training and programs. They currently have an upcoming cybersecurity training. Just give me a sec. Let me put up on my screen so that those who are interested can apply. If you can see my screen, this is the cybersecurity fundamentals training coming up and starting soon. The link will be put in the chat in case you want to apply directly, or you can just search for them online, Tech Unlock Nigeria, and you get to find them. And finally, we have Beaming Lighthouse. You can access them at beaminglighthouse.com in case you want to publish that book, publish that digital product, or you want to get your global talent visa. I don't know if I want to recommend Bimela House as well for our speakers. You want to get cope that global GTV, Global Talent Visa for UK. Yeah, Bimela House is your company. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. I hereby bring the TekNexus Africa Tech Summit to an official close. Thank you, guys. I thank you to our speakers. We'll see you in the back end.